Hello, my name is Stuart from Where the Magic Happens, and I'm playing a Pauper League here with um, a 5-color Urza Tron control deck. It's a very slow deck that tries to win. Well, there's three main win conditions. There's Rolling Thunder, the double red X spell that does damage divided as you choose, and there is Capsize, the bounce spell with buyback that can bounce all the permanents your opponents have, and there is just Moldrift to beat down. Um, so here we're playing against a blue deck. I start with an expedition map. That was a mistake. I think I should have just started with Thornwood Falls there, because having the 3 Urza lands in play early is nice, but if you don't have anything to do with them, because I don't have any way to generate colored mana, then it's not the most useful thing to have. So here on turn 2, I can get the last piece, Urza's Mine. So if you don't know these cards, if you have Urza's Mine, Urza's Tower, and Urza's Power Plant in play, then they all give 2 mana, except Urza's Tower, that gives 3 mana. So I could have 7 mana here if I played the Urza's Mine, but again, I have nothing to do with it, so I might as well play the tap land, which, if I had done it earlier, then I would have been in much better shape. Well, not much better shape. It doesn't really matter. Against these control decks, they don't really do much early anyway. I would have probably condescended if they had the 1/3 creature, the one that draws a card, Seagate Oracle. But they didn't, so I didn't really have to do anything. We're just making land drops here. And the great thing about this deck against control decks is they are also control deck, so it's important to have your lands in play to not miss your land drops. For them, that's sort of easy because they have Dimir Aqueduct. That enables them to not miss land drops. But we can miss our land drops because even if we only have 5 lands in play, we already have more than double the mana that they have. Like here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana to their 4, and here they play a Seagate Oracle, which will counter because why not? It's a small card advantage thing. They made their land drop. I have to click to allow the mana to go to waste. And here we're doing better stuff than they are. Instead of casting Seagate Oracle, we're just casting a Mulldrifter with Condescent backup. And here you see how the mana advantage is huge, because they could not play Seagate Oracle with counter backup, but we could play Mulldrifter with counter backup and have it stick and draw the full 2 cards and keep the creature. So the deck plays 5 filter artifacts. Prismatic Lens is only a one-off because it doesn't draw a card, and Prophetic Prism is the other one. Also 2 mana, filters a color, filters a color's mana into any color, and draws you a card when it comes into play. We're not going to condescend the Doomblade, 1, because we cannot, and 2, because it doesn't really matter. A Mulldrift in a graveyard is also fine in case we draw something that gets a creature back from the graveyard. Then that wouldn't be useless, and that would suddenly be a life card. Keeping the creature in play isn't really what this is about. So they keep hitting their land drops and being able to cycle lands in the process. We could have played Mystical Teachings here. Maybe I should say that I'm recording the audio after the game. I do that because this matchup, well, not this matchup, this deck is so slow that I have timed out on multiple occasions. The deck is very slow, and tapping the Urza lands and then using them for mana is a lot of clicking. And the deck is hard. It has a lot of options. So I thought it would be better not to talk while playing it. and just talk over it. As you'll also see, I make a lot of plays that are not too thought through, because there's a lot of moments in the game where you can actually think for a minute or two on your decision. For example, what you're going to mystical teachings for, when you're going to do that, when to leave counter magic up, if you're going for some sort of mnemonic wall combo that involves ghostly flicker and pulse of Murasa, etc., or just going for some sort of faster plan. So here I'm mystical teachings and exclude instead of going for something fancy. One of the reasons is tapping is also super hard. One of the reasons probably was at that point that I thought I was in a good position if I could just keep him off some cards. And I didn't really want to start going all combo-y with Mnemonic Wall with him having counter mana up. And it's also just a faster play this way. I don't have to play around as much. I'll just exclude, get my value, scry 2, draw a card. This is all not bad. Here I don't need the Flame Slash. I do want the Seagate Oracle. So I still have Teachings in the graveyard. That costs 6 mana to flash back, and it can find any instant from my deck. It's often better to not play the land before casting something like a Seagate Oracle. But here I decided not to play the Oracle at all and just find the Teachings. Because here I can get Pulse of Murasa, which is... I can get any of this other stuff too, Forbidden Alchemy even. But Pulse is nice, because Pulse, because they're tapped out, Pulse can get the Muldrifter back, and then I can cast the Muldrifter. While, because I have so much mana, still having Condescent up. Only Condescent for 2, so I can't really counter much. But there's also not that much that I want to counter. See, and here I decide to not even bother having Condescent for 2 up, because again, there's not much that they can have that is really problematic. In big spells, these decks sometimes play Grimmack Angler, which I can't Condescent anyway, and they sometimes play the 6-drop something horror, that the blue-black 6-drop that bounces a permanent and then you have to discard a card. It turns out that this deck plays neither. But yeah, their high end isn't super scary, so keeping constant mana up is worse than just playing a creature and keep getting card advantage while they are tapped out. But Bog is nice because they have some graveyard combos in their deck, revolving around Arrowmancer. I think that's the name of the card. It's a 4 mana 1/2 that gets an instant back from the graveyard, and they also play some flashback cards. I believe they play Forbidden Alchemy. Sometimes they play Chainer's Edict. This opponent doesn't. Here I can go for a lot of things here. Like I could have played some Muldrifters, but that would have meant that I had to discard, because I really have too many cards in hand. Or I could just play a Wall, get any of these counter spells back, or maybe Pulse of Murasa in case our Muldrifters trade. Really, any of these cards is good. I went for Pulse, even though I have nothing in my graveyard yet. So perhaps I should have just attacked with my Muldrifter, see if he wanted to trade, and then use Pulse to get my Muldrifter back and cast it. But I have so many cards. I'll probably burn one of these Flame... Well, not one of... This one of Flame Slash on their Muldrifter, so I can start attacking for real. Bojuka Bulk before doing that. Not too good. But then, I never said I made all the right decisions in this game. As you can see, I'm not doing that. Yeah, no need attacking with the Seagate Oracle, just attack with the Milldrifter. Alright, so I feel like we're in great position here. We have more cards than they do. We have a bigger board than they do. And we have more mana than they do. Well, what else do you want? Chittering Rats. Chittering Rats enter the battlefield. Target opponent puts a card from his or her hand on top of the library. It's a very cool card. You can totally lock someone out of the game by emptying their hand and then having blinking a Chittering Rat in their at the end of their draw step, so they can never draw a new card anymore. Let's hope we don't get to see that this match. So I do Forbidden Alchemy in my upkeep here so that I don't have to draw the card that I put back on top with the Chittering Rat. So I put back a Flame Slash, then in my upkeep I play the Forbidden Alchemy so I don't have to draw the Flame Slash, and instead I draw something new. Because that's always a problem with Chittering Rats. You like, if you have a handful of cards that do nothing, then Chittering Rats will make you draw that card again, which makes it in many cases worse for you than a discard spell. Because sometimes the useless card in your hand, maybe some lands that you've been holding, are worse than a random card from the top. But Forbidden Alchemy helps. And having Mulldrifters and Seagate Oracle also helps, because you can just dig into useful cards again. Doomblade, Prophetic Prism. Don't really need Doomblade at the moment, so let's just get better mana and draw a new one. Moment's Peace. That's not a very useful card against this deck. That is one that we should probably sideboard out. There's still Forbidden Alchemy here in the graveyard. Forbidden Alchemy, flashback 7 mana, one of them black, and you. It's an instant that makes you look at the top 4 cards of your library. You choose one, put that in your hand, and the others go into your graveyard. So here's Ghostly Flicker. That's a sweet value card. Ghostly Flicker, exile 2 target artifacts, creatures, and/or lands you control, and then return them to the battlefield immediately. In this case, it would blink the Seagate Oracle and the Chittering Rats, making them draw a card and making us put a card back on top of our library. Yeah, that is not the funnest thing to do. It's not the best for them because they don't have a lock yet where they have a card that can immediately get the Ghostly Flicker back. But countering seemed worth it. They counter back, so they get to do the thing. Because Condescend can only counter 4, 3, 4, 5, and they have more than 5 mana. So, put the Moment's Peace back. Maybe thinking about doing Forbidden Alchemy in my upkeep so that I don't have to draw the Moment's Peace. Yeah, that was the Forbidden Alchemy. There's still no target for that Pulse of Marasa that we got back with Mnemonic Wall earlier. Which is fine, it means we can keep attacking with these Mulldrifters. So, current situation, we have 3 cards, they have 3 cards. We are way ahead on board, and we have an extra card in Forbidden Alchemy in the graveyard, and we're still far ahead on mana. And that's Archaeomancer. I think I misnamed the card earlier. Archaeomancer is the 1/2 guy that gets an instant or sorcery back from the graveyard. I'm going to try and counter this. I don't have high hopes that that works. This would give them a Ghostly Flicker lock with the Chittering Rats. And they don't counter the Condescend, and they concede. Which is smart. This matchup is slower than most. So saving some time on the clock is important. I've timed out with this deck a bit too often, so I can totally understand this opponent thinking he can use the time better in trying to win the next 2 games. So I'm adding Pulsar Marauder, Pyroblast, and Pyroblast. Those are obvious because they're just good engines, almost must counters for them. I also added an Echoing Truth, just trying to have more tricky stuff going on. I should have left in the Doomblade because instant speed removal is good against Ghostly Flicker, even though it doesn't counter it doesn't target their Chittering Rats. It can target the Archaeomancer. So for their combo, having the Lightning Bolt in and the Doomblade in would have been better than keeping this Flame Slash. Also, Moment's Peace is pretty bad. So I should have probably settled out Moment's Peace for Crypt Incursions. Crypt Incursion, which exiles creature cards from someone's graveyard. Actually, yeah, they don't return creatures from their graveyard at all, I believe, just instants. So okay, so Crypt Incursion would not be a good one. Coalition Honor Guard deserves maybe an honorable mention. That is the 4 mana 2/4 that they have to target it before they can target other things, and that means if I go off with Ghostly Flicker, because we also play that, then I can more safely do so and not get Doombladed because they have to spend the Doomblade on the 2/4. Okay, this hand is a bit meh, but it's keepable, especially against an opponent that doesn't do very much. We have Natural Tron. Well, natural as in we can fetch one of them with the Expedition map, which is, I guess, unnatural Tron. But we also want a blue mana at some point, so maybe the map has to just get a blue mana instead of getting the missing Urza piece, tower. We get Jurist, they see our hand, and they choose nothing because we don't have an instant or sorcery. Well, there is the tower, so that's great. We don't have to find a tower, we can find a blue source with the Expedition map. So we just pay in mind. I'm not F6ing here for time value because I don't want him to know that we drew the tower. Chittering Rats here would not be so bad because we would just put a power plant or a mine back, shuffle it away when we search for the island, and then we draw some cards with the Mill Drifter. So that would all be okay. Also, there's nothing we can do about it if they have a rat or a Secret Oracle or a Mill Drifter here. Yeah, this mnemonic wall is not looking too good yet because we don't have anything going on in our graveyard. Okay, so they get to draw cards. We get to let that resolve. And I guess this is a moment we can safely do Expedition map without giving them information that they can act on. Another land. We also evoke a Mill Drifter. Drawing 2 more lands, and we'll discard one of them. The mine because we have another mine, and it gives only 2 mana, whereas tower gives 3. So we're looking at the clock a little bit. We both have 16 minutes left. So we have clock parity. They do nothing, we play a tower, and then we can choose to either do nothing or... see, we did choose to do nothing. And because we did nothing, we don't even have to play a tower. What is this? A full Mole Drifter. That is a pity that we don't have a counterspell there. Counterspell there would have been very good. Okay, Echoing Truth is just weird in this situation. Like if they kill our Mole Drifter, we can Echoing Truth the Mole Drifter, so we get to draw 2 cards, but they get it back in their hand as well, because that's what Echoing Truth does. It returns all permanents with the same name as the one you target. Echoing Truth also works weirdly against a Ghostly Flicker. Like if they do a Ghostly Flicker on the Mole Drifter, we can then play Echoing Truth on ours or theirs, and then we get ours back. We can cast it, and they get theirs back in their hand, and they sort of wasted the 3 mana from the Ghostly Flicker. In the end, I think Doomblade would have just been better. All right. Well, not feeling too great about this. We do have a better board, and we both have 7 cards, and we do have more mana. But our 7 cards are not great. We are actually a little bit flooded. And by a little bit, I mean if we could play all the lands in our hands, we would have, well, probably 100 mana. I didn't count. $20 mana. Now I counted. Archaeomancer, we can do nothing against that. They get back their Duress, they'll cast their Duress, and they'll find Echoing Truth. Which is great, because now we can play Mnemonic Wall and get our Echoing Truth back. Value. Another land. Luckily this one is one we can cycle. We do play the Mnemonic Wall, getting our Echoing Truth. Nope. And attack. This game is not very exciting. We don't really have many options. There's really nothing for us to do, because we don't really have any cards that we can cast, any spells. So we just have to... Oh, what are we doing here? Are we casting Echoing Truth? No, we're cycling Remote Isle. Anything? Probably a Tron land. Yes. And a Capsize. Now, Capsize is pretty good if your opponent does not have counterspells and if you have 4 blue sources. Because if they don't have a counterspell and you have 4 blue sources, then with 12 mana you can bounce 2 permanents a turn, which means you can run them out of land eventually. Against a blue deck, that doesn't happen too often, because they can often just counter it. And yeah, running it into counterspell is not the most fun, because you've just tapped 6 mana. And we also only have 2 blue sources, so they know, like, even if we had something to counter back, we wouldn't be able to cast it. So what if they play a ghostly flicker here on their 2 creatures? Okay, well that's a red that we can't do anything about. We just put another card back that we are not going to cast or play this turn. Okay, so they didn't have the ghostly flicker. I thought they did. Maybe they have it now. Nope. All right, spoiler alert. They're going to play a ghostly flicker very soon. And there's nothing good that we can do against it. Because we can capsize one of the things that they flicker, but then they can just cast it to get the same effect. Or we can decide to maybe capsize our own creature, which is not important to do at the moment. Like you can, like I'm thinking here, like should I capsize something or maybe echoing truth something? But actually, that is not like there's no need to do that now because the ghostly flicker doesn't get them up in cards. Like they don't draw new cards from it. So it's not like one of the cards that they flicker is a Muldrifter, and then casting the capsize now is maybe good because then of the Muldrifter they could have drawn a counterspell. That's not the case because it's Archaeomancer and Chittering Rats. So in this case, playing the capsize only makes them know we have a capsize. So they could even choose to get Duress back with Archaeomancer and then Duress our capsize. So this is a really bad play, and I should have probably thought about it a little bit longer. But thinking long about decisions is it's not something you can do in this deck because you probably saw that it already took me a minute to tap the right mana for capsize with my Urza lands. That is inexperience with Urza lands and with the Magic Online interface. So yeah, I do try to capsize my Muldrifter. I fail because they negate it. And then they get back with Archaeomancer, the ghostly flicker. We have to sadly put a power plant back, so we're just gonna draw, or an Echoing Truth, whatever. Echoing Truth, putting back Echoing Truth was better because then they can't duress it if they were somehow still holding that after all this. So this is a good moment to use it. We'll just Echoing Truth the Muldrifter and try to find something that gets us out of this. Draw 2 cards. Come on, deck. Ooh. Draw another card. Come on, deck. A Pyroblast. Yeah, that's all right. It is good against Ghostly Flicker. It can just counter it. Or it can kill the Archaeomancer in response to it. That's probably worse. Yeah, don't attack with the Archaeomancer. I'm going to block one of the rats, because if they're not in play, then they can't Ghostly Flicker them. Counter the Ghostly Flicker. They have the perfect foil to Pyroblast in Hydroblast. I hope you got that. That was a foil Hydroblast. Yes, puns. I can do those, but I don't think I can win this game. Because from now on, if they keep Ghostly Flickering, then we keep drawing Urza lands until we, at some point, get them all out of our hands, and then we have to find something good on the top of our library. No, that won't work because they'll just do it end of our draw step. So Yeah, we can probably just concede here. It would be a good point to concede because they are behind on the clock a little bit. They're at 11:10, and we are ahead on the clock a little bit. We're at 12. But maybe we can get that advantage a little bit bigger. So clock advantage in these slow control decks is a real thing. So here you see I draw a card. They go see Flicker, the Archaeomancer, and the Chittering Rats again, and we have to put the drawn card back on top of our deck. So we are officially locked out. I'm playing on a little bit here, basically just to get ahead on time a little bit more, so I have more time to think in the next game than they do. I think it's okay to use that in a match like this. I think what is not okay is what I see some people do online, is to try to waste your time by, while they are comboing, doing weird things like making them wait, like pausing for a bit so that they are not in the combo flow anymore, to try to make them lose some seconds. That is basically scummy, and you should never do that. But just making them play it out a little bit longer to have a small advantage in game 3, I think that is just fine. Here, I should have sided in Doomblade again, but that is hindsight. I just kept the same the same 60. Mulligan here, because the cards don't do anything by themselves, and I can't even cast them. And this is way better, because it has a counterspell, it has a nice Forbidden Alchemy for some value. Ooh, and that's an Expedition map, which is very good. Because that means that every non-power plant Urza piece we draw gets us to Urzatron real quick. Well, there you go. We have a tower. So we could have, in this case, to try to make our opponent think that we didn't have Tron yet, we could have fetched a mine and then played the mine instead of playing the tower here. But this is better, because this way we had Pyroblast up, just in case. Even though they did have information on us getting to Tron when they played the Oracle. All right, so we could play. We can play Muldrifter here. Having 2 mana left in case we draw one of our mana artifacts. Those would have been a very good draw. We don't. So even though we have a lot of lands now, we are still only on 1 spell a turn, just because we only have 1 colored source. So that's why drawing one of those mana filter artifacts would be really great here, because then we have a lot of mana, but we also have the colored mana to actually use it. At the moment, our colored mana is only the Shimmering Grotto, which actually costs a mana to make another mana. So it both lowers our total number of mana, but it also is our only colored source. Which is fine. We're doing well. They are casting Seagate Oracle and then another Seagate Oracle, and in the same turns we are casting a Muldrifter and another Muldrifter. And yeah, since drawing 2 cards is better than drawing 1 card, we're ahead. Also because in this matchup, every card is worth, especially after sideboarding, every card is worth something. So with Seagate Oracle, you get to choose the best one out of 2. But again, the other one, the worst card, is whatever it is, even if it's just a land, is important upside. Okay, I just explained why drawing 2 cards is better than 1. Sorry about that. Okay, so they have a Duress, taking maybe one of the counter spells, maybe Pyroblast, because it's so efficient at what it does. No. they take Forbidden Alchemy, which could have found us gas, I guess, but it's still only half a card they took because we can flash it back. And here they do the thing that we did wrong in the first game. They do it right. They Doomblade the Mulldrifter first, and then they Bojuka Bog my graveyard. So that was a good reason to choose the Alchemy. Just using Bojuka Bog so that they get all of the card and not just the top half. So now I can't flashback it. Okay, so let's cycle that land. I think we had mana left last at the end of their turn to do this, but well, we didn't do this. We drew a mnemonic wall, mnemonic wall, which is good after we counter something. So let's see if they cast a thing. They cast a thing. We're going to counter the thing. Yep. With Essence Scatter, leaving 1 mana floating. Okay, that works. Yeah, Chittering Rats would turn the game into their favor a little bit because they would win the damage race suddenly, and they would also have more cards than we do. As it stands now, we're winning this if nothing else happens. The good news is stuff does happen. Nope. Yes. Mnemonic Wall gets back the Essence Scatter in case they have another Rats or Mulldrifter or Oracle. And if this resolves, we're, I think, in a pretty good spot. The Mulldrifter's chipping away, and yeah, it's probably soon time to count how much damage we can do with this Rolling Thunder here. Currently, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana. So that is a Rolling Thunder for 9. Same play, counter the rat. Yep. Okay, Prismatic Lens is one of the worst draws because it's basically a land that we have to pay mana to put in play. But we're getting closer to a lethal Rolling Thunder. 10 now. So if we hit an untapped mana next turn, untapped land, and they tap out somehow, then we can attack with the Mulldrifter, put them to 11, and then Rolling Thunder them for 11. Doesn't seem very likely that they will tap out. We could even, if we hit a Tron piece, we could do that with. Could we do that with Pyroblast backup? Because we need 3 red, so we 1 mana gets lost into the Prismatic Lens. So only an Urza's Tower would do that. If we draw an Urza's Tower, we can exactly Rolling Thunder them for 11, and then have Pyroblast. We didn't. We drew the Urza's Mine, which because of the way Prismatic Lens and Shimmering Grotto works, we would be 1 mana short to do both Rolling Thunder and Pyroblast. We're still good. We're still trading 2 damage for 2 damage. But now they have a handful of cards. Well, we're going for it. If they counter back here, then they're just dead. And if their last card is, or if their next play would be a Doomblade, then they also just die. So this is excellent. We should just let this resolve. and still have Pyroblast to maybe counter their Hydroblast. If they go island pass, then we could still do the Rolling Thunder thing, but they could Hydroblast it, and we just wasted the Pyroblast here. So we just should have put the Flame Slash back on our deck and have the Pyroblast back up. But they don't play another land, so they just die. And I'll show you why Rolling Thunder is annoying on Magic Online. See, we target the opponent, and then there in the top left corner there's a little box that you can't see that you have to plus a lot of times to get to the damage you want to do. And you just have to count how often you do it, because there's no way you can't see how often you do it. I lost a few rounds by just not knowing how this worked. I just tapped 15 mana, clicked on my Rolling Thunder, clicked on my opponent to target them, and clicked OK, which resulted in them taking 0 damage. So this is how you do have to do it. Like, you have to click on the opponent, and then this little box that you can't click in, or you can click in, but you can't see what it's doing. You have to just count, and then you get a nice you get a nice visual cue that you have reached 10, because you do see the top of the 1 from the 10, and then you have to click a bit more until you get to your total amount, and that's how we won. Yay! Thanks for watching.